I literally eat cucumbers by the cumber.
Do you ever take the whole thing in one go?
I've tried, but
Often.
it doesn't work.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast. So today we are doing another one of our event preview episodes. It's for the upcoming GBHL 100 event, the Battle of the Five Shires. It's at 800 points in Worcester. It's a very big event. We are all going, bar Adam, and we are joined today by a special guest and number one super fan of the channel, the very own Stephen Denby from Any Heroics. So welcome to the podcast, Denby. How are we doing this evening?
Yeah, very good. After a lot of scheming with your members to sneak me on when you weren't paying attention, I've been trying to get Goble to send me a link for weeks.
That would have been hilarious if you
just invited me on. So
that would be great. I so wish that happened. No, not to be. But if anyone watching has not seen Any Heroics, be sure I will leave a link in the description. You guys do very themey, sort of not very competitive sort of content, don't you? You know, it's sort of more casual, I would say, right?
So generally we just play what we want to play.
Right.
There will be some slightly more competitive ones coming up, I think. Also, I've definitely used my tournament winning Gilgalad lists on there, so competitive or not.
Well, it's saucy.
I've got to say, they are the best bat reps out there. Like, I'd say the Any Heroics and the Conquest Creations Champions League are the only bat reps really worth watching online.
Warg for sure is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Warg is really entertaining.
Is a lemon. Warg is lemon.
There's too many to list. There's a lot of good Australian ones. There's atomic cards have come back in force. I hear Gollum's Gamers might be making some.
Potentially,
yes.
But yeah,
we may need to be shown the ropes by Any Heroics though, potentially.
Well, now you've had me on your channel.
This I like this collaboration sort of thing we got going on. It's nice. Okay, so but we are going to be going over the statistics and some lists of some people attending the event, and then the lists of everyone here who is going, plus Ashley as well, who isn't with us tonight, but he is going to the event. So without further ado, we will get into our usual alliance breakdown. So not many yellows. I thought we might get a few more yellows this event with 800 points. Some more room for shenanigans, but not too many. Legendary Legions, though, a lot of them as per usual, with the Emperor and such being quite prevalent right now. Any thoughts from this?
Yeah,
Lake Town died.
Yeah, Lake Town died. Otherwise, this is pretty normal.
Didn't think of that.
I would have thought there's more legions. I feel like legions have had a bit more of a.
So there's
that is usually bigger than
pure isn't usually that high. There's no POLs or anything. No bears. There's usually been a lot more bears, kind of like at the start of the year, wasn't there? Really, but
yeah,
no bears at all this event. Quite surprising.
Yeah, it's the usual. Everyone's taking Legendary Legions because Legendary Legion is quite good. I assume a few of the greens will be Mordor, Suladan.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I know of two of the yellow players. One of them's, I think, Jakob, and one of them, I believe, is Dave Farmer.
Mm-hmm.
One of the green alliances, I believe, is Iron Hills and Survivors of Lake Town. The Chad list recently won a GBHL 90, I believe.
Yeah,
on that later.
Haven't I heard?
Somewhere like that. Yeah.
Saucy gamers. But yeah, fairly standard sort of alliance breakdown, I would say. Moving on, we have the leader breakdown. So for the audio listeners, coming in at the top spot with 6 appearances, we have, of course, the Witch King, pretty standard in our event preview episodes at this point. Witch King always takes the top spot. So 6 Witch Kings will be there this weekend. In second place with only 3 appearances, so half as many, is Galadriel. Lots of Loths lurking around this weekend, followed up by, with 2 appearances, we have Aragorn, Dragon Emperor, of course, the Goblin King, and Saruman the White.
That is very interesting that there's only 2 Dragon Emperors.
I was very surprised given how many there were.
There's also just to the left of the Goblin King, the man, the myth, the legend, the elf king, Gilgalad. Love to see it.
Love to see it. And it's not you taking it. That's strange.
It's not me taking it.
Who else would be such a loser to take the worst elf lord that there is?
There's definitely been a real I feel like the lists published for this event, they've had like a different vibe compared to some previous events.
It feels a bit, just from the leaders, it feels more chilled.
Yeah, because I mean, 800 points, you do start to reach your Vanquishes territory. So that's obviously why the Sam and the White is there. So that makes sense. But yeah, like you said, only 2 emperors.
No AOL.
There is 1 AOL, isn't there?
No.
Oh no, there's no Musga.
Nope.
Yeah.
There's no AOL.
The Vanquishes, I believe, is John Partridge, I think.
It is not.
It's Ed.
He's not going this weekend. No, he is going.
John's got Emperor and
it's Ed and Jack Canavan.
Yeah.
Taking back.
Do you think Vanquishes is becoming more popular now because of the prevalence of the Witch King?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really good into that model Sully
I
list.
mean, look at it there. There are 6 Witch Kings. So
yeah.
It's also it's just really good at 800 specifically because that is the dot where you get the 5 heroes.
Yeah.
795.
It's like the Breaking the Fellowship at 600. It's just like pure. Yeah.
I would say that for this for the scenario array that we've been given, I don't know how much I love it, but I'm not an experienced Vanquisher player, so
3 of them are kind of they're not insta-win scenario. I think 2 of them probably, or 1 of them definitely is. 2 of them are very, very, very strong for them.
I was just going to say for the audio listeners, because I didn't say about what the scenarios are. So if you're not going to the event, there were 6 scenarios already confirmed in the rules pack. So everyone knew what they were going to be ahead of making lists. And those scenarios are Command the Battlefield, Seize the Prize, Divide and Conquer, Domination, Lords of Battle, and Fog of War.
On a side note, if you're not going to the tournament, do go to Liam Smith's events because they're absolutely amazing.
They are bangers.
I haven't missed one since I went to the first one. He is
Liam is a
very good TO, just all round lovely.
And if you win Most Sporting, he gives you a free ticket to his next event, as our very own Adam knows right here.
Good terrain as well. Really good terrain.
Yes, good terrain. Yeah,
and from Adam, that is saying something.
It's because he maintains the same event size, so he always has. He doesn't overstretch his bounds.
With same venue. Yeah,
he goes for the same venue with the same number of tables, which means that he's consistently on the same.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing. Tried and tested. Any other interesting ones? We've got a Necromancer in there from the Necromancer Legion, obviously a Balrog.
I was going to say it.
All the lists.
Love to see Balrog. I know who Durbers is. Brand King of Dale means potential Dale Legendary Legions.
There's one, although the list wasn't on Longshot, so I can actually get that in the stats. But Sharky as well.
Yeah, there's a Radagast. There's a Candish King, which means potentially someone's gone full Chariot.
I saw the there's Ben with full Khan.
Someone's gone for Bard.
Yeah,
I don't know. Bard's not great, so
it's a tricky one.
It might not be a very good player. Anyway, so that is going to do it for our leader breakdown. Moving on, we have the faction breakdown. So for our audio listeners coming in with 3 appearances at the top spots, we have Angmar, Loth, and Mordor, obviously. Followed up by 2 appearances. We have Dark Denizens of Mirkwood, Goblin Town, Emperor Legion, Stand of Moria, Rivendell, Serpent Horde, and Vanquishes. And then a number of others as well. What do you think?
Yeah. That's more Angmar than I would like.
At 800, I guess it's
it's good. It's a good Angmar level.
To be expected, I guess. Yeah. So out of the 6 Witch Kings, 3 of them are Angmar and 3 are Mordor with some form of alliance.
The 2 Giga Chads taking Army of Dale Legendary Legion and Chiefs Ruffians Legendary Legion.
I played against this Chiefs Ruffian player last time I was at Leon's event, and it was very enjoyable.
I hear he's a lovely bloke.
Yeah, he is. I think it's got 100. I think it's 100 models on the dot. So
it's 100. Oh no, something else.
Yeah, the Goblin Town, or one of the Goblin Town list is 100 on the dot. Oh no, 103. Sorry, and then the Chief Ruffians is 100. So a lot of models to choose through. I hope those two play. That'll be funny.
Lol. But yeah, not too much else going on here, I would say. White Council, don't really see White Council too much these days, but it's cool to see it on there.
That's one model being dropped into one army.
Yes, but still cool to, I guess, sort of, because this is Lady of Light sort of thing. You don't usually see it that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, not much else going on. So we can move on to model count statistics. So average model count, 39. It really annoys me. That's a odd number, but there we go. At the top end, we can see, we have 160 model list, 75 models, which is a Goblin Town alliance, which we'll come on to in a little while. And then the 100 and 103 model lists as well, which would be quite tough to play. But most kind of falling within the 37 to 48 range. Lots of players with probably more competitive lists, mostly.
What's the 6 model list? I think we know what the 5 model list is.
Yeah, 6 models. What was that?
Also, I think mine's been incorrectly registered because it should be 10 on there.
Ooh.
So Necromancer one will probably be 9.
Yours is 10 because I put your list onto the thing, and there is definitely not 10 on there. So
there may be Lean's revoked my ticket. So
there may be some human error on there somewhere. What is 6? Well, who knows? That might be wrong as well. Let's go and look on the Longshanks.
Fellowship's got to be 9, right?
Well, there's I think
Necromancer Legion will be 9, won't it?
I know what it is.
It's Eagles.
It's Eagles, Gandalf, and Aragorn.
Oh, it is that one. I thought that was 9, but yes, it is that. There's 3 Eagles, Guahir, Aragorn, and Gandalf. Yeah.
So the Necromancer Legion will probably be 9 or 11, right? 11 if it's taking Castellans.
There's also a Dol Guldur one, which is not the Necromancer Legion, but it's just the Witch King from Dol Guldur leading the list, and then loads of the Wraiths with I think one.
Yeah, it'll be 9, I think.
11, because he's got Keeper of the Dungeons, my trusty number 1 duo.
The Legion should be 9, I think, or 8.
The Legion, sorry. Yeah, I think it's 9.
Yeah.
No, it is 8. He's got 7 race and Necromancer. So yeah, fairly average for 800. I mean, I guess I would usually think most of this are trying to get towards the higher 40s sort of range. So to see the average being under 40, maybe a little bit unexpected.
I guess with Come on the Battlefield, you obviously, I probably would have expected it to be maybe, around the kind of 44.
That's what I usually think.
Yeah.
Most kind of lists are trying to get towards, unless they're kind of quite elite. But even ones like, the Minas Tirith list that we'll come onto, that's a bit lower on model count than you would usually see from a Minas Tirith list at 800. So
I get if you go for the tech, you're gonna
it pulls it down. So maybe a little bit lower than usual. But yeah, those lists in kind of the higher 40s then are feeling pretty good for most matchups. So yeah, there's your model count statistics for those attending the event. Moving on, we have the Might breakdown, 800 points. I would guess this is fairly common. You're looking at about 10-ish. Lots of cheap 3 Might heroes you can chuck in for extra Might at these kinds of high points levels.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's fairly common.
24. Is that Boromir with lots of heroes?
No.
Any more guesses? I know who it is.
Is someone taking Rangers of the North?
No.
24.
It's a list that is fully men, though.
Ah, okay.
Any thoughts?
There goes my other idea of the Fellowship of the Orc. That's good.
Oh dear. You used the list last weekend.
Oh, really? Right. Rise of Theoden.
Indeed. An interesting build, which we will come on to.
There's a lot of heroes.
Can't wait to break that one down. Yeah. But so 11 Might. So depending on what list the listener has that is going this weekend, you can work out where you fall on the scale. Moving on, we have some bow statistics. Now, when I was making this earlier, I was thinking, so when I put the average bow count to be 10, I've done it of lists that have bows, that average is 10. Because if you include the ones that have none, well, then it brings the average way down. So I think it's if you're facing bows, the average you'll come across is 10.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've often thought that while listening to your podcast, so I'm glad you.
I think that's the best way of doing it, because otherwise the average was like 6, but that just seems dumb because but there is a 30 bow list.
It's the ruffians, right?
Ruffians. Are they the strength? Are they just the whips?
No, so it's 30 bows, and I imagine it'll be like 50 whips as well.
Yeah.
I haven't played ruffians in ages.
Yeah.
And then 20, I think, is the Khand.
Only 20?
Well, that's 40 models, right? Because they've got 50% count.
He's got 22 warriors.
No, Cardiff.
Oh, they don't count towards the limit.
Yeah, Cardiff. You can have full bows in that list if you take 30 models. So
yeah, well, he's got 22 warriors plus the heroes on chariot.
That's a lot of chariots then.
I think he's got 4, maybe 5.
I reckon it's 2 kings minimum.
It's
I'm
2
crying
kings,
in
and
horses
then
right now.
2 kings. The list isn't on Longshanks, actually. I have it here on my phone.
It'd probably be 2 kings, 3 chieftains. Yeah, that's pretty Chad. I respect that as a Khan player.
It is. Let's see. It is 2 kings and it is 3 chieftains.
Yeah,
that is nice.
Yeah. So he's only got 22 warriors plus the 5 heroes, so 27 models.
10 might. Yeah, 10 points of march. Pretty lit.
So it's pretty nervous. Anyway, moving on, we are going to get into some of the lists. So the lists are all available on Longshanks for anyone going to the event. But if you're not going to the event, I've kind of put together a preview of some of the lists that are going, some of the more competitive ones, really. So starting off here, we do have a Erebor Reclaimed list. So it is led by Dane Ironfoot, King Under the Mountain. Now that's the old Dane, the Forge World one that came out, not Dane on Pig. He is leading 12 Iron Hills Dwarves with Shield and Spear, obviously. Then he's joined by Gloin with 5 Iron Hills Dwarves with Shield and Spear and 3 with Crossbow. Then he also has Biffa leading 5 Iron Hills Dwarves with Shield and Spear and another 3 with Crossbow. And then finally he has an Iron Hills Captain on Goat and Spear with 3 Crossbow, 1 with Crossbow Spear and 2 Goat Riders for 38 models. So I have played against this list, a similar iteration without Biffa, and I really, really like it. Dane is actually pretty solid. It's a lot of dwarves, it's a lot of models. Is it max bows or it's very, very close?
10 crossbows with 4 heroes, so 34.
Yeah,
So you can get one more.
One more. So and obviously the player knows this sort of list very, very well.
Is this Ali King?
It is. If you couldn't guess, yeah.
It's a very strong list.
It's really, I really like it. What do we think?
You're looking at this and thinking, actually, this does really well into things like, it probably does okay into Vanquishes because it's all fearless.
Not fearless.
No, wait, no, it's wrong Dane.
It's the other Dane.
Oh, rest in peace, Ali King, if he plays Vanquishes then.
Well, he goes to Courage 3. It's not that bad.
Courage 3 on 3d6 on the Wizards. Yeah, I guess it's okay.
Could be worse. Yeah.
Every model here has a spear, so if he does it right, he'll have a spear support.
He's an all right player, Ali King, I guess.
He's not bad. Some might say he knows what he's doing.
So I think you probably can. There is the other option for this list to, I guess, drop Biffa and fill out those warbands with just more dwarfs. So you'd probably get around 45.
I think that was his last. I think I played him when he was 750.
Yeah.
So he got, I think, maybe 40 models, and each did.
Yeah, I played him at the league finale, which I think was 800 or 750.
I think it was 750. Yeah, so that was probably the same one.
That was 750. He took Gloin, Captain, Dane.
Yeah.
I think Biff is a really good inclusion to the list, though, because he's only fight 4, blah, 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 blah. but he gives you that board control to just say, I'm just going to call a move every turn. And then I've got heroes who can just chop stuff up. The other 3 heroes, they'll kill 2 models a turn probably.
Yeah.
Each.
Yeah, reliably.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I think is 38 models for dwarfs is a fair amount. That's a lot of dwarfs to kill.
800. It's good.
But the only 10 of them are D6.
Yeah. So if you play strength 4, and it's something like Lords.
So they're kind of they're a little soft spot of the underbelly that you can try and kill and take advantage of.
Yeah, when you look at D6 and say the soft spot though, it's a bit different to like orc trackers in Mordor Serpent Horde, isn't it?
Yeah. So that I mean Ali will do well with this, I think.
I do agree with what you're saying, but it was always funny to me when people say, "Oh, it's the soft spot. Is there only D6?" And I'm like,
yeah.
Only
in the context of this list,
it is the one. And if you're a strength 4 army, that moves quite quickly, or even something like an emperor. So me and John obviously take an emperor with captains as well. If it's something like Lords, and we can drum march there immediately, and we've got axes, say, on the front line, like those D6 guys can maybe go down. Obviously, he won't put them in straight away, but
it's good amount of might. It's what, 10 might?
With a Master of Battle.
Not Master of Battle.
Yeah, he's got the captain. So
he's got the 5+, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he's got a surprising amount of board control, I would say.
Yeah.
He's got the 5+ Master of Battle. It's got the free move every turn once Biff has done his thing.
Yeah, and Dane is pretty solid. I'm just looking at his profile now. Like, he's got the strength 4 Burley.
He counts as a banner as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, 6-inch banner.
He's also probably not going to give away too many leader VPs at D9. He's only got the one fate, but
he's a survivable
guy. He's D8 actually.
Yeah. Is he not? I'll tell you what, I've made so many rules errors this podcast. This is why you don't have me on it.
You weren't prepped for this one, to be fair. No.
So I actually, what are our thoughts on this Dane versus young Dane?
What, the one that you get in the same pack? No, that's the young Thorin.
No, he means the Hobbit.
You just mean the actual
normal. I kill everything Dane.
Right.
Who gives Fearless, who's 160 points, or this Dane, who is he 130 or something?
Yeah, 130.
Yeah. But is a 6-inch banner effect? Sorry, not a real banner. 6-inch banner effect, which is amazing for dwarves.
Yeah,
I like him.
Yeah,
I would actually like to take him as a kind of 130, hero of legend, but he has his alliance problems. So he's not very easy to ally into any list of mine. So it's a bit shame, but I think he's really good for his points.
And the fact that Ali wrote an entire article on why you may potentially take your Dane on pig without the pig goes to show that he obviously thinks that the dwarf heroes being on foot, or any hero on foot for that matter, is a pretty good way to go sometimes. So why take pig when you might not need it?
Yeah, definitely.
So
like the list.
It's a really solid list, and he knows what he's doing with it. So I imagine he'll do pretty well. Moving on, we have the first Witch King list we are going to be looking at. So this is a Mordor and Dark Denizens of Mirkwood alliance. So for the audio listeners, it is led by the Witch King, obviously with Crown of Morgul and horse. And in his warband, he has an orc warrior with banner and spear, 6 Morannons with shield and spear, and 6 Black Nuns. Then in the second warband, it is the Shadow Lord on horse with 4 trackers, 1 Wild Rider with shield, 3 Morannons with shield, spear, and 3 Black Nuns. In the third warband for the triple transfix shenanigans, he just has a ring wraith on foot. It is 2-7-1 with 3 orc warriors with shield and spear, 4 orc trackers, a wild rider with shield, and 3 black nuns. So we save some points there by just doing some orc warriors with spear rather than Morannons. And then from the Dark Denizens, he has the Spider Queen and a Bat Swarm. So 40 models, triple wraith with a Spider Queen and a Bat. Black nuns everywhere.
So this is Jakob's list.
Yeah.
And I think so. It's only 2 more models than the last list. There's a few more squishy points, but what this list does better than any other list that we've seen so far. Okay, one of two lists. Of almost any list that's there, apart from maybe Vanquishes, is it just basically says, "Oh, you like heroes, do you?" No.
Yeah, no, not this game.
Not this game. Not this game. They're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And then the Spider Queen. So I was speaking to Jakob, and the Spider Queen acts like a wrestler in that the other ones stand still and she hits them with a steel chair. That's how he described it. So...
That is pretty typical from Jakob.
That's pretty tappable.
That's tappable. You'll have to see it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and if anyone's going to have success using a list like this, it's probably someone like Jakob. Let's face it. Like, he knows what he's doing.
He's used it a couple of times before.
Yeah, I think this is his. I want to say it's the identical list that he took to.
It was like an awesome event.
Michael's event, yeah.
I think it was very similar. Yeah.
I don't think he went to Michael's, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's I mean, you have realistically, unless you have Fortified Spirit, you have no heroes with this list, and when you play against it, you have to hope that your battle line is better than their Black Nun battle line. Because apart from the Spider Queen and his Witch King's only got 13 will, 2 fate, so he will eventually run out. They don't really have a hero that can go in to put combat apart from the Queen.
So that's kind of thing. Like, the Queen isn't there to munch troops, is it? It's there to be like a hero.
That's it.
It's an
assassin. It's like a B-Tech Gulliver.
Yeah. But when you combine it with 2 compels, 3 compels, it makes it really good, and a bat. So
yeah, if you are looking at this list across the table, trying to think about how to protect your heroes, you're probably going to have a big headache.
Jakob's already running in his head. He's like, this is great.
I think
don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sleeper bit, I think, is although this does translate your heroes to death, against some of the lists, probably just triple drain couraging them is enough. You throw 3 drain courages onto their 2+ drain courage on their heroes, and they then are courage 1 charging your Black Nuns, and that's pretty unlikely. So then gives you opportunity to use other spells consistently. So although it has the transfix, it may not even need it against certain lists.
I guess they might not want to play like there's the Lost Alliance going with like Elendil with Fortified Spirit, things like that.
Yeah,
it would get annoying if they roll well, but there's not too much else.
I don't think this wants to play the last list we just looked at.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
because whilst Gloin and Dane and whoever else is going to be immobilized, the troops are just going to rip through Black Nuns.
Yeah,
and then once you've removed the 12 Black Nuns, there's only 12, so 12 is like enough, but they aren't very hardy troops when you've got Courage 3 dwarves coming at them. Who removed them on 4s, bigger banner, it's a very good list, this, but it's very much like once you've got through the Black Nuns, it's like, now what? Like, there's 9 Morannons, 8 Crackers.
The Queen would have to do a lot against a dwarf list. I mean, you're gonna have to be going in and at least killing 2 a turn, otherwise. Yeah.
Even Hurling's not that great because it's only 2 higher strength, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think in a matchup between these two, you probably just try to slow down the heroes with all the transfixes and just chuck the Queen in and try rip some dwarves combat and try because
compel
means them on 5s re-rolling.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. You can kill 2 a turn doing that.
Maybe try and take out Dane because there's the banner effect. Spider Queen will do it.
Yeah, D8 winning on 5s. Yeah, so it's a really solid list. Yeah, so moving on, we have, as we just talked about, the Spider Queen, we have a Goblin Town list that has allied in the Spider Queen. So it's fairly standard for a Goblin Town list. It's obviously got the Goblin King, Gollum, Grinner, the Goblin Scribe, 2 captains and a mercenary captain, and obviously a load of normal Goblin Warriors and Mercs as well in there. And then he's allied in the Spider Queen and Bat Swarm. So 75 models. And just, quite interesting to see it. allied in with Goblin Town. The Spider Queen, that is.
It used to be quite common, I think.
I haven't seen it really around at the moment. So
it's because it's yellow and it gives you the double threat with the Goblin King. You've got 2 harming fight values with the Bat Swarm. Spider Queen with her thingies are really good for grabbing objectives and like seize the prize and whatnot.
Yeah.
But she can run up or march up and then have them move over the prize, and she tries to dig it up. And then next turn your goblins will be there. So it adds that bit of flexibility. I think the one thing I would say about this list is that mercenary captain warband looks slightly too big.
Yeah, because you can't get it in a terrain piece.
I think that's always the ongoing discussion is, can you fit it in the terrain piece?
I don't mind it because Leon, we know that Leon's boards are pretty full of terrain, and if you just have to be around a terrain piece based contact, like I know this is Jack's list, and I think he took 12 mercenaries last time, and it was really, really good for him. There's always at least one, or there's always a piece of terrain you can deploy them on, and 12 models coming on, or 10 models coming on behind. It's really good.
I didn't realize that this was my boy Jack Whitefoot.
Yeah.
Any heroics team.
Yeah. The only thing is, which it sounds a bit crazy, however, that 75 models I just don't think is enough.
No.
It's not massively high, is it?
It's really not. And
because of the Spider Queen, really
Yeah.
numbers.
You need to get a lot of return.
Like, bear in mind, they die so easily, these gobos, and this after 1 or 2 turns, they're probably in combat. You're probably down to 50 odd.
And like, I'm not sure at 800, like the Spider Queen can be really susceptible to magic.
Yeah, she's totally. Imagine like that's the Spider Queen plays Jakob's list.
Oh dear.
That's that's 100.
And the Goblin Town list, which is just like trash.
Yeah, like the Goblin King's probably black died to death, and your queen is useless essentially.
Even Witch King Sully even if it was only the Witch King, to be honest, like the Spider Queen is just going to die.
Yeah.
But like someone like Ash's list with the mouth as well, like the Spider Queen's not going to do anything. So and at 800 points over 6 games, you're probably going to face magic in at least 2 games, mostly, especially if you're planning to do well at the event and you're playing on high tables. You could probably bet on at least 2 games there's going to be some kind of wraith or something somewhere.
Yeah, and Jack will be playing on the high tables. I know it's a Shark Tank, but he is a very good player and very consistent with his list as well.
If any heroic thing to say about it, then he will be on the higher tables.
Yeah. Well, we're actually coming out in force at this event. There's 5 of us, I think.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, the gamers, there's only 3 of us going. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
4 with Jay. 4 with Jay.
Is he coming?
Sorry. Yes, he may go. Sorry, he may be going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 2 Spider Queen drop-ins. So interesting to see, how they'll perform. It's something I might give a go at some point. It'd be interesting. Moving on, we have the Vanquishes. So we've spoken about it a little bit already, but I don't know if you wanted to touch on it a bit more at 800. Obviously, audio listeners, if you don't know the list, it's all the 5 named heroes that you get in Vanquishes: Saruman, Galadriel, Elrond, Gandalf, and Raddy.
So how many of the scenarios end at 25%? Because that's really bad for this list.
Fog doesn't. Dom, is there Dom?
Dom.
It's domination.
Dom does.
Lords does.
No, Lords is the 1 or 2.
Is it? Okay.
I think.
Yeah, Lords is 1 or 2.
1 or 2. Divine and Conquer seize the prize and Command the Battlefield.
Seizes both 25%, was it?
Command the Battlefield.
These are a bit different though, because you can control the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, Command the Battlefield's a roll, I think.
Command the Battlefield is 25%.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's 25.
And Divine and Conquer, did we say that one?
Divide is 20. Divide is 25% as well.
Ooh.
It's this. So the three.
No, I think Divide and Conquer's 1 or 2, broken 1 or 2. Because I played against Vanquishes last weekend at Ardicon, and the game, did it just not end, or were we playing too quickly? One of the two.
Divide and Conquer is a 1 or 2.
Yeah, the game just never ended. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
And if the game never ends, this list always wins.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting because obviously at 800, it's like, oh, it's his best points for it, sort of thing. But then, is this the best event for it given the scenarios?
I don't know enough about this list to maybe pass comment on this, but it seems like Seize the Prize, you're very, very, very reliant on your magic moving all the models out of the way so you can get on them.
Yeah,
Three
that's no
compels.
problem.
Yeah,
That's no problem at all. You've got Wrath, you've got Instill Fear. That's a -1.
3 compels. Yeah, Wrath, Instill Fear, 2 Sorcerer's Blast. You're probably going to have the relic.
So I guess you're laughing, really. You wait for the opponent to dig it up, or even you just run up and dig it up.
Generally, I think it's this list is actually more. All the scenarios I think are actually okay for it.
Yeah.
Maybe
on a battlefield, I'm not sure about.
Maybe command, but I think if you know how to use this list properly, it's this list is way more matchup dependent. So, for example, if any evil list, a Witch King list or Jakob's list, for example, if that comes up against this in Lords, you've instantly lost. There is 0 you can do about it. Same with Fog.
It depends if they have time to get all the buffs up.
In Lords of Battle, you just do.
Because you deploy at the back of the board.
You deploy your, even if you don't.
Yeah.
Like your channel Terrifying Aura, your 3d6 minus highest. You're then fortify spearing on a 2+ to everyone. They get 3 free dice without spending their store or their staff, and resist with +1.
Yeah.
I imagine if you channel Fortify Spirit, you get +2. I don't know if that's how it works.
Yeah.
So 3 free dice, 4+ to resist a 6 is you're never casting anything. And the Sorcerer's Blast and the Nature's Wrath, and they're putting in a 12-0, realistically.
Yeah.
Divide, they sit on the center objective and basically pay for having pay for 5 VPs there and break.
They just kill
which
everything.
is also good.
Yeah.
And Fog, I mean, they can probably kill a hero if they want to. I imagine so.
Yeah, they're probably gonna do it.
I bet.
It's mainly going to be command the battlefield if it's right matchup. Has to, like, if it plays a fearless list or D7, it's gonna have a worse time.
I guess it's more like if you take it to a regular 6am event where the scenarios aren't announced, you could just get railed by a bad scenario. But if you know they're pretty good at the scenarios that are going to be played, then you're just hoping you don't get really bad matchups. And
good armies versus this. I can't describe how much better they are against Vanquishes. It's obscene. So we'll just have to. I think it's going to be matchup dependent on how well these Vanquishers do, but they're really good lists, and it's just his perfect points level for it.
Yeah, 800. So I thought there might be some more. To be honest, only 2.
I'm glad there isn't.
Maybe
I've had too much. I've had my fair share of Vanquishers now. No more.
Never played it at a tournament, so
it's. I actually think it's worse. I think it's worse than Black Riders.
Interesting.
By a country mile, in fact.
You mean?
You can kill the ring rates easy.
Yeah.
Shooting is really good against Black Riders.
Yeah, Black Riders has a weakness. This, it really kind of doesn't unless it's you play
the weakness maybe certain scenarios.
Yeah, like unless if you have to be, if you're D7 with high courage or a fury, you might be okay. But otherwise, I mean, you gotta hope that the scenario is good for you. Otherwise, you're having a tough time.
You also need a piece of terrain near the objective you're fighting for, so that your fury caster can sit behind it and not get banished and blasted to death.
Yeah, you need some good hiding skills.
Some good luck, some matchup luck, and Or luck, dice luck, most likely as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time for the Vanquishes at 800. But moving on, we have a Minas Tirith and White Council alliance. So for the audio listeners, it is led by Boromir, Captain of the White Tower, of course, on horse with banner and shield. He's leading 5 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield, 5 rangers with spear, and 3 guard of the Fountain Court with shield. In Warband 2 is led by Madril with 4 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield, 5 rangers with spear, and another 3 Fountain Court with shield. And then we have Kyrian leading, again, 4 warriors of Minas Tirith with shield, 2 with shield and spear, 1 knight with shield, and 2 rangers with spear. And then we have Raddy, allied in from the White Council, on horse with Sebastian, of course, as well. So that is 38 models, just like the first list. 800 points. What do we think? This is Farmer's list.
Raddy is his leader, by the
I
way.
was going to say Raddy is his leader.
He totally is. I got that wrong. My apologies.
This is a meta core list, so I've spoken to Mr. Farmer a couple of times about it and played against it. And in fact, I'm actually playing against it tomorrow for a practice game. And it's basically the good version of the Dragon Emperor list, because you've got Boromir providing Fight 5 and a big old banner. You've got Radagast providing Fearless, because he's got Aura of Command, as well as other magic. He's a very good
I don't think he has command.
He
has Dismay on 5.
He has Aura of Dismay, does he?
Yeah. He's got Dismay, Nature's Wrath, Panic Steed, Transfix, Renew, and that's it, I think.
Okay. So but it still provides the same. It's got Terror, similar to Black Ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a good list. It obviously misses out on the +1 courage, which is actually quite useful in today's meta. But yeah,
it also lacks with the Black Numenorian comp. The good thing about the line is obviously it's the Terror, the Fight 4, but the Strength 4 with the Moranas in some matchups is really, really good. Obviously, he's got Boromir to kill stuff with the 6 might. Like, as he's not your leader, you're going to chuck him in. Obviously, you do still need to keep him fairly centralized with the banner and everything, but like, you do want to get him in there killing stuff. But against like an Emperor, for example, this could really struggle to kill models in, say, Lords or even Divide, potentially, like to move the Emperor list, the whole thing, which is going to be sat on the center. Like, that could be hard. So a little bit of a weakness there with the pure strength 3, but that's
I think at that point you're using Boromir because he's got Fight 7 just to combat through, and Kyrian just to keep striking and try and kill as many as he can going into 2. So I played against Dragon Emperor. I played against Kylie last week at Ardacon, and I took Rise of Theoden, and that was a really good game. But the problem for Rise of Theoden, which I think is actually it's a decent matchup for them, is you go into 2 and you strike. You have to just try and kill as many as possible. And yet, after all that, it still didn't do enough. Because the Emperor's Fight 6, whereas Boromir being Fight 7 means that he never needs to strike against troops. He's going in and combating.
Yeah.
Also, against Rutabi, he's never triggering the Master of Battle because he's not calling a strike. So the Fight 5 into Dragon Emperor versus the Fight 7 makes a big difference.
Yeah. I didn't think as well the Fight 5 with the Fountain Court, obviously with the 6-inch banner, that is a pretty good into, I guess I'm just saying generally sort of like D6, like a Witch King Sully, for example, sort of thing. But yeah, you need the heroes in those situations to really kind of do some work for you.
It's also got the Madril because we've got a guaranteed Maelstrom. And he's also got 3 might for marching. I believe he's got march, is that right?
Yeah, he's got march. Yeah.
And Kyrian for heroic resolve specifically.
Very nice.
So when I played him with this, he just basically had Kyrian sit in the middle against my 2 or 3 casters and just basically resolve every turn, which meant the Boromir is pretty safe, Radagast is pretty safe.
The one thing I did think was a little bit interesting. So the Rangers are courage, are they 3?
Yeah.
Courage 3. So they don't get the army bonus where they go, but Boromir's got the horn.
No, it's not. It's a different horn.
It's not a
it's not a horn.
Oh, it doesn't get the courage. Okay. So there, I guess something like Command the Battlefield, I thought you might have had maybe some more cav. Only one cav, but he's had to obviously skimp away on points to fit in Raddy and still have
you run low on numbers.
high model
really
count.
hard in this
Yeah.
list.
But losing the army bonus, I don't know. I guess he's maybe not too worried about the courage, but that could be an issue in areas.
I think I'm kind of torn. I'm just really torn on this list because I do like it. I do really like it, but then this 6 guard of the Fountain Court.
Yeah, is it?
I'd have liked to see a little bit more. I know it probably reduces it. 38 models is probably on your lower end that you'd want to be at.
How many points is Raddy on horse?
He's 165 with Sebastian horse. So
with Boromir as well. You usually never see another hero that expensive with Boromir.
Yeah. Like Boromir, apart from Boromir, you don't really have any killing power. And you play against a caster and his horse is dead. And then you're a little bit sad.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Against Emperor, it's okay, but against Witch King Sully, yeah, it's just
you do have the resolve to kind of stop the black darts, which is it's okay. It's not guaranteed, obviously, but it helps a little bit.
It's just I'll be really intrigued to see how this does, because against a kind of list with say even the dwarf list we saw, Boromir could fairly easily lose his horse through crossbows, and kind of killing the D7 dwarfs, and they're killing you back on, I guess, the guard of Fountain Court, you're killing them on 5s or 6s, sorry. But yeah,
it's got some really strong points, but I guess if it runs into certain matchups, like you say, with the magic, if the horse is gone, it could then maybe struggle to kill in. And it's not looking too great. We are joined by Vince. Vince has joined the fray. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, sorry I'm late. Oh, hello, Stephen. Welcome to the show.
MB has joined us.
I did not expect to see you.
At a moment's notice, we summoned him onto the pod, but we are currently looking at Dave Farmer's list with Boromir and Raddy. What are your general thoughts on this one, Vince?
Oh, wow. Very interesting. It's got everything you want to see in a standard Ministerial list. You've got Madriel, Kyrian. Yeah, you've got
Fountain Court.
You've got Rangers, and then you've got Radagast
on a horse.
On a horse. Yeah.
Is this the new
interesting? Yeah. You don't really see him on a horse, do you? Usually it's the sleigh, but I guess his thinking was just bring him for the magic support. He does have very useful spells. He is a very underrated caster.
Yes.
Maybe he's thinking of some, Nature's Wrath, or
it's his leader as well.
Some sort of.
So he can.
It's his leader.
So we can chuck in Boromir. Yeah. Raddy can.
Yeah.
Usually when I played against Raddy, he can really die quite easily when he's on sleigh. Obviously, he's much easier to protect on the horse. But if something does grab a hold of him at D5, fight 5, he does have defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
So that's good, but he can go down. So
horse is way better than the sleigh.
Oh yeah,
they just don't sell the model, so you have to make it, and that's like it's effort. But
like usually, you might play against him on sleigh quite a lot, and then the sleigh is really easy to kill him on. But he's better on the horse. It's way harder to.
The sleigh's better in your Eagles list.
Yeah. But,
for a good list, he's a very, very value caster, isn't he? He's only 165 points when you compare that to like Gandalf the Grey, who has Sorcerer's Blast and Protection of the Valar, but other than that, like Radagast provides so much more. He doesn't have a compel, but he does have doing a channeled Aura of Dismay is really, really good on this list. You guys were saying there's a lack of killing power. Yeah, there is, but I think if you just spend the might with Boromir and Kyrian, you are killing stuff.
Yeah, even when he's on foot, as well. Like if you do lose the horse and you've got 6 might, you can just spaff that to win combats and stuff.
And you'll be outnumbering in the combats because you cause terror. And that bubble, am I right in thinking it's 6 inches from Radagast?
Yeah.
If you channel, it's 12.
Yeah, if you channel, it's 12. Yeah, exactly. So it's huge. It's brilliant.
Well,
I think it's a really good list.
I wonder if it's something like Command the Battlefield, he would consider channeling it. You don't usually see it, but
he's got the might to spare on it, to be fair.
Yeah. When I saw he has 15 might, when I saw it earlier, I was really like, that's pretty tasty. So he could sit like in between two ball quarters that are, being contested and affect both, sort of thing. Like, yeah.
Really good. Really strong.
Yeah. So it's a good list. We'll be interested to see. It's first time this year we've seen him take anything sort of like this. So will be interesting. Anyway, moving on. We have our very own Stephen Denby's Riders of Theoden.
Oh, brilliant.
Bit of an off build for the audio listeners. I'll run through it for you. So it is obviously led by Theoden on horse with heavy armor shield. Then it is a pure hero build. So he has Aemir with horse, shield, and throwing spear. Gambling with horse and the banner, of course. Then he has Derwine, Elfhelm, and Dernhelm, all on horse. And then he has 3 captains that have heavy armor, shield, throwing spear, and 2 of them have bow. So it is a grand total of 10 models at 800 points. 24 might with a free. Denby.
Okay, so the theory behind this list is there isn't any. As usual, I had a brief foray into the meta and I didn't really enjoy it. Riders of Theoden is really fun. And what I really want to do with this list is just charge in with my 10 models, call death, and kill, 9 models, which is 10 models because of Dernhelm.
Yes.
I call death and kill 36 models in a single turn. If I can kill 30 models in a turn with death in any of my 6 games, I will be very happy. That's all I want to do this weekend.
If you do that, that will be very typical from you. I would love to see that.
Would everyone love to see that? Even your opponent would love to see it after the game. To go, wow!
Imagine you play this and you genuinely take 36 models off the board turn 1. I'd be like, what? What's has happened?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm broken. I was 25%. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's it's fight 5, potentially strength 5 or strength 6 for the captains, which is quite nice. I think the captain of Rohan is actually the only reason people don't take them in Riders of Theoden is because all of the other heroes are so good. They all have their own place. Anyone who sleeps on Elfhelm, you haven't seen him snipe Suladan through 4 in the ways, take out his armored horse. Am I right, Adam?
It happened turn 1 and Maelstrom.
Yeah. Elfhelm's really good for specifically that. You go, you've got a horse, you've got a banner. I'm just going to take that one thing out and then probably do nothing else for the rest of the game, but that's not the point. Captains of Rohan, when they charge, they are fight 5 if they're within 12 of Theoden. Strength 5 on the charge. I've converted them all to have axes because they have axe or sword. So I've
pierced to strength 6.
Well, I can't be bothered to. Yeah, so they can pierce to strength 6. If I roll a 4 high on my heroic combat, I'm spending 2 might. I got 24 of it. Why not? I think it's a silly list, but I think it'll do surprisingly well in some scenarios as long as I can win the turn 2 roll off.
Have you used it in a practice game?
Fuck no.
Damn, I was going to say, did you kill 36 models?
No. I haven't used it in a practice game, but it's Riders of Theoden. What's the worst that can happen?
You're not using it tomorrow against Farmer?
Yeah. No, because it won't be painted. And I don't have Derwine. I'm borrowing it.
It's really good against Farmer's list because he can't panic steed enough.
Yeah.
Not enough turns.
Or he channel panic steed and I fail to resist.
I'm not sure.
Everyone within 3 inches, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's really great against Farmer's list because
it struggles with a fight 5.
Boromir just wrecks these heroes, I think.
Boromir's not charging in the first turn, though.
Yeah, Boromir's horse, hopefully, if I get a shot with Elfhelm doing his business, then maybe I'll kill it turn 1.
You spend the might on the captains as well with the bows potentially to.
Yeah.
No, but what he'll do is he'll hide Boromir, like he'll sit him behind like his infantry, and then he'll just countercharge when you charge.
Yeah, probably.
For a gap. Yeah.
But
You
again,
could even just heroic combat off a captain.
yeah. I mean, I'm not.
And then,
I mean, they're
and then
D7
what you're gonna do? You're
captains, to
gonna
be
strike
fair.
with everyone. You're gonna have to strike with everyone,
I
right?
think you have to send someone like Dalewyne or some other striking hero straight into him and just keep him there for a few turns. Or alternatively, you've got 2 defenses in the list. Probably go in with Elfhelm.
You're approaching the list with the wrong viewpoint. It's Riders of Theoden, so all you do is you charge and you call death, and then you just let you just let the dice roll. Whatever happens, happens.
And pray.
Yeah, charge in on turn you lost priority, so you don't have to deal with Boromir for that turn.
Yeah.
Kill 30 models, and he's only got 8 models left. So done.
But he's got a fight 5 line. Like,
stop with your logic and facts. I don't want to hear.
Emby does not care.
These guys are all fight 5 unless you call it strikes, but you want to kill 36 models, so you can't call strike if you want to kill 36 models.
Nah, he'll just roll a 6 in every combat, and then
Yeah, exactly.
Is all of the 38 models going to be within the fight 5 or fight 5 bubble? 6 inches? Probably not.
12.
Like,
Boromir.
even playing this list with like, even playing this list with 4 or 5 heroes, it's still hard to get those 4 or 5 heroes all in the death range.
It's a 12-inch range.
No, I mean,
yeah, it's still hard.
Nah.
12 is huge.
What's really hard is getting them into 2 models each.
I've never.
That is hard. That is hard.
I've never called death and have it affect. Well, I know I have, but rarely does it affect 100% of the heroes. Like, it will affect like 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, but not like 100% of them.
Well, in this, it's going to be 9 out of 9 if Denby has insane.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, but I don't know.
There's only 9 models on the board.
Fun.
Listen, I've played 7 games of Riders of Theoden. I'm the best Riders of Theoden player in the country.
7?
7 whole games.
I don't doubt it.
Mate.
That's too many games.
Yeah. But it's definitely a different take on Rise of Theoden, and curious to see how you get on with it.
Yeah, if I can see one of the big fish at the tournament and they have to play me and the dice pop off, I'm just hoping
Are you using Rohan dice, I imagine?
Yeah, I'll be using Rohan dice.
Here we go. So luck is already on your side.
Yeah.
So it's the right way to go about
This is going to win the event. I'm telling you. This is
if
winning.
it wins the event, I'll only play Riders of Theoden for the rest of the year.
I thought you were going to say you do
that's not that long.
on our podcast, yeah.
I'll do something obscene on your podcast. There you
go. Nice. Lock it in.
Lock it in, listeners.
You heard it here first. Confirmed. Okay, moving on. I believe we are going to get into our lists. So, first of all, we can briefly touch on Ash's Mordor Serpent Horde list that he is taking this weekend. Very similar to a number of the other Mordor Serpent Horde lists we've seen from him. So, for the audio listeners, he's taking Witch King, of course, with Crown of Morgul and Horse, 4 Orc Trackers, 7 Morannas with Shield Spear, and 7 Black Nuns. In the second warband, we have Shagrat this time, which we don't always see, with heavy armor and the shield, 2 Orc Trackers, 3 Morannas with Shield Spear, 1 Morannan with only a spear, and 3 Black Nuns. Then we have the Mouth of Sauron, who he's taken quite a lot recently on Horse, leading 4 Orc Trackers, 2 Morannans with Shield Spear, 1 Morannan with Spear, and 3 Black Nuns. And then, of course, Suladan with 3 Serpent Riders. For 44 models with the 4 Fight 5 heroes, 3 of them strikers. What do we think? The addition of Shagrat is really the sort of key thing to talk about here.
Yeah, so I'm actually taking a very similar list this weekend, and I'm going to the one-dayer in London. I think what's jokes about it is the opponent doesn't really want to move first because you've got Black Nuns, so it's the Angmar effect. But then they kind of want to call moves because you've got Shagrat. So there's this dichotomy of what happens in someone's head. There's this deliberation as to, do I go for it or do I not? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So I really like it. It's a list that loves to react.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really strong. I think he's gone really heavy on the, like, I don't think it's that many models. Normally he likes to go high numbers to get the bonus, and he's got 10 trackers in there. So it's got a soft underbelly, but he'll play it really well. And if you get Shagrat clearing up a little bit.
It's because he's got so he's only at 44 models, that's with 10 trackers. So he's really tried to get it up as far as he can. It's just including Shagrat and the mouth.
Yeah.
Like 200 points for those two.
Exactly. So I've taken the same list, but not mouth. I've taken Guritz to get the numbers up to 46 and only have 4 trackers, the rest Moranans and stuff. So yeah, look, he'll play it really well. 44 models, he might not get the bonus, but I also think he might not break. So it's that sort of balance, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
If you compare it to the numbers of the other lists, this is like I want to say it's in the top 10 highest.
It is above the average. The average was 39.
Yeah.
So it's above
I
average.
think what else is really interesting, obviously Ash has really come into his own this year as a player. He's won a couple of hundreds. One of the best players with this list specifically is he's chosen not to take the Shadow Lord, but there's no there wasn't any massive amount of shooting beyond the Sharkies Rogues and the Khandish Horseman list. And I think it's actually quite a good meta read from him that a lot of the heavy shooting armies have not died out of the meta, but they're not as prevalent as it were.
It's not high points. They're not as, I think at lower points is usually where you see more of those sort of shooting heavy lists. I guess with Assault now, with the nerf as well, maybe less worried about that.
The part was the only really one that is this actually had a real struggle against when it came to shooting. Like being D6 everywhere, it's actually not the biggest thing, biggest problem.
I mean, you say D6 everywhere. He's got
he's got the trackers.
10 trackers. He's got Sully. He's got 3 Serpent Riders. He's got that is it.
They'll be behind two in the ways if once you're going
elf in. Shooting, lots of mass shooting is usually strength 2 though.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, Shagrat he's added it because he shouldn't be called captain of Kirathongal. He should be called fucking Shagrat Dwarf Killer. And if you play against dwarves, he's your key piece.
Yeah. Strength 5 with a knockdown is really good. He'll very reliably kill 2 infantry every turn and not die because he's defense 7. He's a 3 wound, 3 fate evil hero, which is so rare.
Yeah. I mean, he has had to sacrifice model count in order to get him in, but he is really, really solid. So it's basically his standard Witch King Sully list he's been running with Shagrat.
Yeah. So, it's interesting that he's dropped Kardush. I know he was taking Kardush quite a lot. I don't know if that was at lower points. You guys have probably spoken to him more about this.
He liked it as 700. I think since he's used the mouth, he's kind of just become a mouth fanboy instead because...
Now, I'm not going to lie. I was really hot on my opinion on the Mouth of Sauron Musgur debate. But I'm rooting for the mouth lately.
Mouth is just better because once he's out of will, he can just go in and he can YOLO it and he kills
really kill stuff. He really can. And yes, Musgur has the potential as a better caster, but you can roll well on the 3-up transfixes and get really good value out of those with the mouth, and then still get really good value after that with the killing potential if you win move offs and stuff and he's charging into 2 at 5/5. Where with Musgur, obviously, there's just
he's not too dissimilar from like a Gandalf or a Faramir on the charge. He doesn't have the +1 to wound from the lance, and he doesn't have strength 5 from Gandalf, and he doesn't have strike, but he's 70 points, just 2 attacks, fight 5, going in on a horse, 3 attacks.
Really, really good. Armored horse as well. So yeah, I think he's really kind of fallen in love with the mouth a little bit, and it's easy to see why.
It's the smile. What does it?
Gorgeous. Yeah. So yeah, it's Witch King Sully. He knows what he's doing with it. So we'll see how he gets on over the weekend very well, hopefully for the team's sake. Although him winning an event doesn't actually do much for the team, but obviously we would like to see him podium the league. So
He'll be knocking on heaven's door though, won't he?
yeah. So moving on next, we have my Emperor Legion.
Boring
Similar to to other ones that I've ran. So we keep it quite brief, but it's Emperor Legion, it's Emperor with a full warband of Black Dragons, so 15 with Pike and Shield, one with a War Drum, one Cataphract, with the War Drum, and 2 regular Cataphracts. And we have Ratabi leading 4 Eastlings with Shield and Axes, 4 with Pike and Shield, then Brawgear with 1 Eastling with Shield, no Axe, 2 with Shield and an Axe, and 4 with Bow. And then we have an Eastling Captain with Shield. It's my first time running a Captain at an event, with 4 Eastlings with Shield and Axe, and 3 with Pike and Shield. So 44 models, but I've snuck in the 4th hero there for the D7 Captain for the Drum March combo for the scenarios.
You've not got any acolytes in there, unless my eyes deceive me.
Yeah. So I saw like John, he put some in. He got down to 42 models. I think being able to get in the captain and still keep the model count pretty high. Obviously it'd be nice to have some in there, maybe. I went to like a big 100, I think a couple months ago or something, and I took like 3, and I just wasn't sure I got the most value out of them. I don't know. Obviously, there can be situations where you really want some, with throwing weapons into combat and stuff, and the ability to jump over said thing and go get that objective. But I'm not sure how much of a difference they make to the line with like the killing potential, unless you're going like spam with them. Like, I don't know, if you have a few in there, seeing as I've got axes on my front line anyway, you're still 3 dice to wound in every fight, one of them being at strength 4. So I think if you're going like spam that, I think it can be pretty good. But I've gone more the route of trying to keep the model count high while still fitting in the captain. That was the thinking.
Yeah, fair.
I think it's a good idea to go for the captain. Can he go double-handing piercing strike?
Yeah, so he's strength 5 +1 to wound.
It's a
With double reroll.
It's a halberd hand and a half thingy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2-handed axe.
Yeah.
Or a hand and a half axe, yeah. So strength 5 +1 to wound. 2 attacks at fight 5 with 2 pikes behind him. Pretty lemon.
The cheeky weapon swaps as well, of course.
Yeah, so I did have the Suffolk. I had axes on the Cataphracts as well, but to fit in a shield on the captain, I've had to strip away those from the Cav, so that hurts. They were actually pretty good on the Cav at Suffolk with the Pierce, but for Hog of War, I don't want the captain being susceptible at D6 if I play strength 4. So I want him at D7.
Yeah, it makes sense.
What's that, sorry?
It makes sense to have him at D7. I mean, you play against, it sees the prize, this moving 12 inches onto the objective with your whole army first turn. It's pretty evil. Very evil, in fact.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
And then, you play Lords, you play against a shooting list. You're in their face first turn as well. 12
inches. 12 inches.
Yeah. I think, and Divide and Conquer, double march it's not a necessity, but it's a luxury to have double march. And if you can take it, why not? I don't think it makes the list worse taking the captain. So, I think I like the captain choice instead of going.
I think it was just like, if I'm more towards, say, like the 38 model count, if I went down to say roughly 42 models like John's got with some acolytes, I'm closer to the 38 model sort of mark with the lists that have bought all the tech.
Yeah.
So like the Raddy and things like that, and the triple casters, like, but 44 is just quite a bit more space. And seeing as there's quite a lot of scenarios which are about like model count in certain places, so like Command the Battlefield, Divide and Conquer, things like that. Like, I just think the model count is quite important.
Yeah.
No, I definitely prefer this to the crazy Dragon Knight build. I think it's...
What was that? Sorry, Vince, we lost you there.
No, I think it's better than the crazy Dragon Knight builds that people are trying. I think they're just trying too hard to be different. This is Rutabi, Brogear, Captain's better.
I mean,
sure.
those crazy Dragonite builds have done pretty damn well, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced. Like Rutabi is very good. Brogear, excellent caster, the captain of the March. It's just better than, you know, three attack heroes and no fate.
Having listened to a discussion between some Dragon Emperor players, I think the reason a few people shy away from Brogear is that the argument is that you only really get one turn where you're guaranteed to do something. So let's say you cast 3 times, one of those will be resisted, one of those you might fail, and then one of them you'll get off. And then because it's still reliant on then how far have you casted it, and then are you getting any wounds? I think that's why people prefer the Dragon Knight heavy build.
It's not only Tremor though; it's also the other sort of like. So Fury
Blade Wrathing the Emperor is disgusting.
Yeah, so you've got the Blade Wrath on the 2-up, like in certain scenarios, like contest, for example, like being able to Blade Wrath the Emperor. Obviously, we're not playing contest this weekend, but yeah, so that's a really good kind of buffing piece. If you're needing the Fury, you're probably playing against a caster which can sap Will Borgir anyway, but even those 1 or 2, maybe 3 turns if they botch the roll, that you have Fury up, that can be really, really big, considering the front line is only Courage 3 down to Courage 2 if Harbinger.
Yeah, I think
that can be really big.
I actually really rate Brogear as you cast Fury and then you go, I've got 4 will and 2 might. So are you going to sap me for 3 turns?
Yeah, if you're playing against a Terror army, that is literally what Brogear is going to do, and cool moves. But those 2 or 3 turns can be really, really big. And then if you're not, then you can try and get some use out of the other spells. But yeah, it's a more regular. But at Suffolk, that was my first time using the axes on the front line, and there were some matchups playing against D6 where it was really, really big. So I probably see myself using that moving forward on the entire front line and my cav if I can.
It's also the threat range from the Tremor. Like people still have to kind of play around it, right?
Yeah,
it's useful,
especially with a drum.
Yeah, and a banner. They have to protect their banners as well.
A drum Tremor is very hard to predict where it's going to go.
Yeah. No, the Brogear for sure brings something different, and it's just another tool in the toolbox, isn't it?
Indeed.
So I'm a fan of Brogear.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Excited to play Seize the Prize with it, with the captain. We'll be lit. Moving on, finally, our final list, we have Sam's Survivors and Iron Hills list. If you want to take us through that, Sam.
Yeah, so I am continuing my warpath to try and make Survivors meta.
Playable, lol.
Yeah, even though they're a little bit fallen off current state of the game.
Player skill.
Yeah, so Bard is my leader. He's got Alfred and the girls with him. So I've got 5 militia with bow spear, 10 militia with shield spear. I've then got a captain with shield, 2 militia with shield, 3 militia with bow spear, and 4 militia with shield spear. And then I have allied in good old trusty Dane Ironfoot from the Iron Hills on his pig with 17 Iron Hills dwarfs with shield and spear and 1 goat rider. So 4 warband for him. So 48 models in total. It's got 8 bows plus Bard's machine gun. So potentially 11 shots, and then 8 might plus 3 will from Alfred, and the 4+ Master Battle for Dane. And so yeah, I've taken this to 2 events now. And I really like how it plays. I mean, it's basically just a fight for D7 fearless frontline of dwarfs that people kind of have to get through, and plus with Dane, who's fight 6 with his 2 wound boar, you can't easily black dart it, so you're probably just better off transfixing him. Which if one of those fails and he goes in, he's killing whatever. And same with Bard. I mean, Bard can go in, do a free combat, and 12-inch banner. So the last weekend, I had taken a Iron Hills banner for banner scenarios. However, due to no banner VP scenarios this weekend, I have totally sacked that off and thought taking 3 extra dwarfs is better.
You usually never see 17 of one single warrior type in a single warband. That's quite typical.
Yeah, it's a fair amount. And because you're never really going to have a 17 wide line, and if you are, you might be playing on a board with no terrain. So I think I actually will be able to get a shield wall with as well, because I'll have stuff behind. So technically, being D8, where I need it to be if I play against a 5/5 hero, or say if they're playing against a Shagrat and he didn't charge, then you back into shield wall when he needs 6s all of a sudden. So small things like that can be big. And yeah, I
think I potentially owe you a little bit of an apology, because in our last episode, the Suffolk one, I didn't rip your list, but I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, potentially there could be some issues with like the movement with the dwarves and the 6-inch moving men and stuff. I was like, it could work really well. There could also be maybe some issues. And since then, you did pretty well at Suffolk. You were on the cusp of doing very well at that event. Became like 8th or something?
6th.
6th, yeah. But you were, if you beat Farmer, which you were very close to doing, who knows?
Yeah, beat Farmer was a close game.
Yeah. Where that played you. And then you also won the Havant 90. So maybe it works.
It's
you kind of just I think we're all a bit skeptical, and clearly you've proved us wrong.
Yeah, you essentially just have to treat it as it's all move 5.
Yeah,
and once you do that, it's really not bad. Like it's you have your frontliners dwarfs. All it does is it just gives you a little bit better rearranging ability when you do hit combat, because with the extra inch.
I guess Ali won the league not too many moons ago, literally playing dwarves. Obviously, meta's changed and things, but it isn't like you can't do well with dwarves. So
definitely.
The only thing is, does this struggle against magic or multiple casters? I don't know how much magic you've played. But with only 3 will and your 2 main hitters,
so
do you think it struggles?
So against for example, Jakobs, as we saw earlier, when you have a triple caster, the passive Fearless for Dane is obviously massive. As well as both heroes, but Dane and Bard, do have Heroic Resolve, which you play against a Vanquishes list, or a Black Riders, or a double caster, triple caster. When you give Bard 6 might, and all you need to do is kind of just sit there with your 17 Iron Hills dwarfs and spear sports, and just kind of let them do the work. If you can just resolve, they stay alive. It's fairly consistent. And then say if Bard resolves, then Dane gets the free resist, and then he can go in and not feel as bad when it comes to getting transfixed. There's definitely ways to work around it. And against the Terror list, the Iron Hills they're the things that will destroy a Black Num list with the Fearless, because they rely on it quite heavily. If I can go in with Dane, it's an extra bonus, but it's not needed to beat those lists.
Yeah, and considering your 48 models as well,
it's on the nearly 50 models with 19 dwarfs. It's pretty good. It's pretty good model count, I think. So yeah,
very good model count.
Worth noting that if you're magicking Dane out of the game with the Witch King, you're still getting value from the Fearless and Master of Battle. And if the Witch King's 150, Dane's only 160. So it's not like, you're getting an equivalent fair value trade there, aren't you?
And you're still not dealing with him.
Yeah. He's still there.
He's still there. He's still
And
It'll
the
be
Witch
cause
King
problems.
usually still offers like Harbinger in this matchup with the Dwarves. That
Yeah,
just-
yeah, but then you've got the Fearless from Dane, is what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Yeah. And yeah, Bard as well.
Yeah.
You know, to go
Bard's
in.
banner is passive, right? He just has
Yeah.
to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So-
passive, so Transfix doesn't shut off anything in this list.
It's a good list. But Sam, how did you get on? Like, what did you find tricky about using this list last time you were out?
So this list last weekend, this was so we had to say good and evil. This list I went 3-0 with, and found that it kind of was just good. And I think it's mainly although it's only got for a survivors list 8 might, well 11 with Alfred isn't loads, but you still, the dwarfs kind of give you that extra board control that they might kind of, you don't really need the extra might you normally get because they just live for way longer and they're so consistent all the time.
Unless you're playing Miazog Hunters, that is.
Yes, unless you're playing against some crazy,
Dog dice.
Yeah.
Lit.
But so for example, the Stone Market event, one of the games I lost against was Denby, and that was in Recon, which I think if I had a practice game or two with them in that scenario,
you would have won it.
I think I would have won it.
Yeah.
But
We were going to play Recon at my house.
Yeah, I know. That was a
I
This
paid
very
Elliot
room.
to not do so. So
yeah. But I think if I played Recon in a practice game, I would have had a better idea with what how to play it against because Denby had Riders of Theoden as well. So I think that's just probably first time list piloting on that part. And against Farmer with his Witch King Shadow Lord, I kind of had I had like 2 or 3 good turns of charging in with the dwarfs and winning fights, but I just couldn't kill. I was just rolling either a 5 on the Lake Town and then a 4 on the dwarf, for example, and I just couldn't. I needed these 2 turns to do something, but I just killed nothing. And then the later turns, Farmer came and what was winning fights and was killing me, and it kind of just spiraled out of control essentially. And Dane shat the bed in that game. He absolutely shat the bed, which didn't feel great. But yeah, I think Farmer did 2 or 3 one dice transfix, Witch King was just 6. I was like, it's just not worth resisting that. It's just not. So I just had to let it go through. But with some different dice rolling and potentially, again, I don't know if it was down to user error, but I don't think I made that many mistakes in the slightest. It could swing the other way. So I think it's just very consistent overall.
With the meta at the moment as well,
Yeah.
lots of boxes of what you'd need it to do to compete with those kinds of lists.
Yeah, like Lords. If the average bow count's 10, I'd say that I maybe outshoot people with Bard. And then Fog, Fog's not great with the kids and Alfred, but you spend their might and leave them back of the map kind of thing.
yeah, you leave the kids with the creepy old man.
Yeah. And then Divine and Conquer is double march with Bard, with Captain and Dane. Command Battlefield, high model count. I've got +1/-1 for Dane's Warband with reserves rolls. So that can be fairly good. What else is there?
Dom sees.
Dom, you sit on the front. You sit 24 up, and I feel like I would outgrind most lists with that battle line. Seas is the only sus one, I would admit, because obviously it's essentially.
I can't wait to play you and see Sam.
Yeah, it's essentially putting it down to a second turn move off.
And if you play against me, it's already over.
Yeah. But then obviously they could not pick up, they might not pick it up first turn. And if you can kind of break through with Dane onto the prize, it's not ideal, but it's playable kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, you then have to keep. Sorry, the opponent has to keep their prize holder away from heroic combating bard and heroic combating Dane.
Indeed.
Which isn't the easiest.
You just said and done. But yeah, it's a really solid list. You've had a couple good events with it, so we'll be curious to see how you do this weekend. But this was the last list I had in the presentation. Any closing comments from anyone? We're not doing like a tier list as we usually would with all of our lists because there's only 3 of us who are going, so I haven't got that ready. But any final thoughts?
I think Elliot's is the list that could win the event. Unfortunately, it's piloted by Elliot, so
you're hot on our own pod.
Did Jamie tell you to say that?
No.
Jamie totally bought him.
No, all I'm saying is you'll make an Elliot move at some point in the game, and
I totally will. Yeah. So
even that was cold. That was cold.
No, honestly, I think Elliot's got the best list amongst all of us. I do think that potentially puts you most likely to win the event out of us lot. But then if you look at the fact that Ash is as good as he is,
he's in the form of his life, isn't he?
He's on a mad one. He is.
He can't have good scenarios against bad matchups for every event. He's got to have. No. He's going to have a Vanquishes at Lords.
Ash has been on a classic Ash luck streak.
Yeah, he's going to have a Vanquishes at Lords, and it's going to go real south real quick.
Hopefully. Imagine.
He had
it starts with the line,
didn't he? He had contest against Sauron.
Yeah, but then
he got very lucky in that game, though.
That's not even a bad matchup.
I mean, it's not great.
It's incredibly lucky for Sauron to not even get a kill, though.
But you're going to kill more than Sauron with a charging Witch King and, more might and everything. Like,
incredibly lucky for him.
Yeah, you just are going to kill more. And, I mean, playing Black Riders in Hold Ground is pretty typical as well.
Well, I love that I have Denby's vote to win the event this weekend. Imagine if I just took one of our last scores from 82 to 100.
That'd be so nervous.
That would be so nervous. Could totally do it. Totally do it. It's going to happen. I need to make that back at some point.
Any lists that we're not taking, for example, like the ones that me, Ash, and Elliot, but you think are also in contention for, podiuming?
I think Vanquishes is obviously one, especially when it's piloted by Ed Ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's arguably...
But who's taking Vanquishes?
Ed and Jack Canavan.
Jack Canavan, yeah.
Jack Canavan.
Jack Canavan has literally said, and please don't take this out of context because he's a lovely guy. He said, all I want to do is ruin someone's day.
He literally said that to me before as well about a list he was using. Yeah, so
yeah. I think you've got Ed Ball taking an all-hero army with a good set of scenarios mostly, and he is arguably the best all-hero player in the game. His resource management is fantastic. I'll try and stop sucking him off now. That's a really obvious one. I think Jakob and Farmer, they're both using lists that have tools. I think Farmer has obviously less experience with his, so I would give the edge to Jakob. Also, I think the Spider Queen is just very good. Also, shout out to my boy Jack Whitefoot. He's returning to the scene of the crime where he previously won the Worcester event, so could be him again. But yeah.
Nice. Okay. Looks like that is going to do it. So, Denby, thank you for hopping on the pod at such short notice. Anyone who has made it this far, usually it's only Denby who makes it this far into our episode, so maybe no one is actually going to hear this part for once. But if you're not familiar with any heroics, please go check the link in the description and see their lovely bat reps and everything that they get on up to over there. But thank you for coming on, and thank you very much everyone for watching another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast.